More fire damage here. Looking pretty black. Like I said before, this is usually just all green and lush. Not anymore. So, I spent about, must have been maybe 10 to 12 days in Rishikesh. It was cool, it was fine, but after 10 to 12 days, it was like, I had enough. It was, it's a small place. It was time to go see some other things. And I tried to book a train to Pushkar in Rajasthan in the desert. And the problem with India booking trains is you really have to be organized, which isn't usually how I travel. I sort of like to follow how I'm feeling. Let's just book some method of travel for the next day and do it that way. And so I went to a travel agent right next to my hotel to get to Pushkar, and he said, train is totally full, not possible, total bummer. And so he said, oh, but I have a bus, a sleeper bus, because it's a long way to Pushkar, real long way. And so, well, 15 hours on a bus doesn't sound great, but what the hell, let's do it. It was real cheap. It was like, I think it was 800 rupees. I took a bus from Rishikesh to a town that's near Rishikesh. I can't remember the name now, but that's like the bigger bus station. And so they dropped me off, and it was just like unbelievable. Like, they dropped me off in this sort of field, and it was just, well, everyone was barefoot. The Ganges was right there, remember? There was a lot of cows and pigs and monkeys, and I just couldn't believe this was where the bus was going to pick me up, But sure enough, there were the buses. And I have to admit, at this point, I was like, not freaking out, but was kind of like, wow, what's this going to be like, I mean, I'm in sort of, it really feels like I'm really out there now. I'm just in this field. I'm the only tourist. And just, here we go, 'Alright, so I am in Haridwar, India, just about an hour south of Rishikesh, and I'm about to catch a overnight sleeper bus to Pushkar, which is about a 16 hour journey. And this is, pretty wild here. I've seen my bus. I'm not super super excited about it, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, I just bought the ticket from like a tourist travel agency, and this is what you get. It costs 800 rupees, which is like $12 or something. And I have no idea. The train was sold out, so that's what I'm doing. "15 hours on this bus, so I'm really hoping it's decent, So that's the bus there, the white one that says Krishna. So we'll see. Alright, so this is my spot here. This little compartment. 15 hours in the box, man. And we still have about 45 minutes, but I just didn't want to stand out in that parking lot anymore, so I just came in. And once I get organized here, I think I'll be okay. It's a soft mattress with like a raised little pillow area here. And so I'm gonna get my like blanket out and all my stuff and get organized here and see how this goes. Doing a major U-turn right here. Oh shit. Was a really long bus ride. It was very cold on this bus because the windows are like slatted where you open and close it. There's no seal, so you just have the air blowing right in. And it was really a tough journey. I mean, really grueling bus ride. And it was just me and like sort of farmer looking folks. Everyone was really nice, and we stopped a few times to go to the toilet and to get some food. And one thing to know about the buses in India, I'm not sure if this is true for all of India, but where I was, they take the small roads, the really small roads that are usually in really poor condition, really bumpy, just makes for a really uncomfortable ride. Whereas if you take a taxi, which is what I ended up doing for the rest of the trip, they take like the highway where it's like nice and paved, really much better ride. And so you're on these little roads. You stop every hour it seems for something. The bus broke once, and it's really some advice. It's really worth it for long distance travel to pay for a taxi. Maybe find some other travelers to to share the cost or whatever, but the taxi is way better. I arrived in Pushkar in the very early morning. It was like 6 in the morning. Walked around for maybe 30 minutes with all my stuff. Found a hotel that, you know, I read some reviews, it was okay. Found that hotel, but on the way it was just like, wow, you know, it was a trip. There was like a dead dog in front of my hotel. There was just, you know, it's India, man. Like, you gotta be ready for that stuff. It's just, I've nothing against India. It was, you know, totally a cool place and a great place to visit. But it was, it's a trip, you know, you gotta be ready for certain things, you know, dead animals, feces, sewage, noise, pollution, and poverty, you know, and these are, you know, the negative things no one wants to speak about, but it is there, and it's something to reckon with, you know. So anyway, I find this hotel, and get some food in me there, wake up the next day, and I'm not feeling too good, you know. I had been well for like maybe 4 or 5 days at this point, over the flu, and here we go again. I don't know what it was this time. It was definitely had an upset stomach with diarrhea, and started having a fever, a pretty good fever, just sweating at night, sweating in my bed, no energy, and I just felt sick all the time. I was sicker and sicker. I just hung out on the rooftop. I walked around Pushkar a little bit with what little energy I had. I was starting to get really worried because I had a fever at this point for like 5 days. And the medical facilities where I was, let's just say it wasn't very encouraging. And so at this point, when I decided I didn't want to go to an Indian hospital or do any of that, and to be honest, I was just over it at this point, of being sick, of just being tired, you know, not feeling good. It's been like 3 weeks now. I just said, hey, you know, I'm out of here, you know. I left. So that was a whole nother adventure. At this point, I'm just getting out of India, but I'm way in Pushkar, which is like the middle of Rajasthan, in the middle of the desert. Not a whole lot of things around. And so I booked a taxi. I think it was 2,000 rupees. It was like a 3-hour taxi ride just to Jaipur. The reason I went to Jaipur is because I was able to find a flight, a $30 flight from Jaipur to Delhi, and then Delhi back to Paris, where my wife was. And the goal was just to get back to Paris and recover, you know, just get better. I was totally over it. Never had this happen traveling. I'd been sick in Nepal, I'd been sick in Sri Lanka, but you know, just like 3 days or something, and then spent 1 night in Jaipur. Got my flight from Jaipur to Delhi, which was a huge ordeal. Like, I was really sick at this point, like red face, sweating, fever, shaking, and just was like in the Jaipur airport, just completely miserable and a little worried, to be honest, and just hoping that I would get better. I actually paid like record price. I paid $5 for a can of Pringles in the Jaipur airport because I was worried about my salt. I was running out of salt, I felt, in my body. And so, and $5 in India, I mean, that's like a room in most situations, so really needed this box of Pringles. So I got this little prop plane from Jaipur to Delhi. It's raining right now, if you can't tell. Trying not to get the lens wet. So I'm back in the New Delhi airport where I was 3 weeks before. Gonna get back. There's some burned. That's Manzanita there. That redwood. It's all Manzanita. Got burned in the fire, it looks like. Up there as well. So anyway, I made it back to Paris, and it took me a long time to get better. It took me like 2 or 3 weeks of being in France and just eating and sleeping to fully feel better. So I was 100% sure at that point that I made the right decision by getting back to France, and I did see a doctor in France, the same doctor that gave me the antibiotics, which turned out to be a good idea. And he said sometimes when you have bacterial infections in your stomach, you're not, when you eat, you're eating, and no matter how much you eat, your body's not pulling the normal amount of nutrition from that food. And so, which made a lot of sense. And he prescribed 2 different types of probiotics for me to take, and I took those for a month. And sure enough, I started feeling normal again, and everything was fine. I ended up spending a total of 6 weeks in France in the winter, the snowy, frozen winter, and then I flew to Los Angeles and came to Ojai, where my parents live, about 3 weeks ago. And I've decided to spend some time here, looking for work, got an apartment that I'm moving into in a couple days. So I'm looking forward to just being in one place for a while. There will be videos coming from Ojai, coming from California, about various things. If I do trips or anything, those will be, more travel videos. But I just wanted to tell that story because it's not, there's a lot of emotions involved when you sort of are sick traveling, especially when you're sick for long periods of time and it's not going away. Maybe I should have seen a doctor, but using my judgment, seeing the medical facilities where I was, I felt better off just getting out of there. And I'd been sick for so long already, I was just not having a good time, and I was out of there. Those used to be all avocado trees, those terraces. Now it's just nothing. Totally gone. And I just wanted to point out, it's okay to leave. It's okay to go home. There's not like a massive failure or anything. You have to do what you want to do, and that's kind of why you're traveling anyway. Just be your own person and make the decision, and it wasn't an easy decision to make. I was like, man, I flew all the way to India, here I am in India, and I'm just, I can't enjoy it, so it was a bummer, but it's just another travel experience, it's just another thing, and that's why you travel. Traveling isn't about like being happy. That's one part of it, but traveling is work generally. Traveling is an education, and education is work. And I still learned a lot on that trip. I was in India for 3 weeks, and it was really cool in a lot of ways, and I'm super happy I went. I don't regret it at all. Definitely going to keep traveling. I'm definitely going to keep trying new things. So I hope this helped. There's going to be a lot more coming from Ojai, California here. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.